a financially successful life. Michelle considers it a good day when she helps others create clarity and confidence in financial aspects of life. Please help me welcome Michelle Perry.
Well, thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
May I please share my screen? Okay, thank you. So today I am not wearing the Edward Jones hat. Prior to Edward Jones, I was in HR, and I would always get requests from people. Hey, my brother-in-law is really struggling to get a job. He's really good at what he does, but he's just not landing the right job, or my sister, or my whatever. And so I started helping people write their stories. And so since that's the theme right now, I wanted to share this. Now it's technically like a 4-hour workshop, so we're going to go very fast. If you have a blank piece of paper, there is going to be a little exercise for you to do as part of it. But basically, I arm people with 5 stories, whether it's going into an interview, public speaking, being ready for that promotion, helping teach your boss how to speak on your behalf. Because if we don't write our story, somebody else will, and it'll be through their lens. So just like Deborah was reading, you all know I wrote that. And so it's, if I had asked somebody to speak on my behalf without their having knowledge of me, then that wouldn't be the same story, right? So today it's going to be about picking one subject. So I typically teach 5. So the 5 I teach are leadership that you've demonstrated in your life, strength that you have capitalized on, a weakness that you have overcome, a conflict that you have resolved, and teamwork. And so those are the 5 stories. I have people ready to share at a moment's notice. They are in their back pocket, ready, physically or figuratively in their back pocket, ready to pull out at any given time. So for example, if you've ever heard me speak, I know Lady E, this was my John C. Maxwell story at getting certified. So in a brief version, the first time I fired somebody, he opened the door so hard to leave the room that he embedded the door handle into the drywall. And so I was really gun shy about firing people. Well, when you're an HR person, that's kind of your gig, right? So I was really gun shy about it until somebody taught me that I'm just carrying out the policies. Like, I'm not their mother, I'm not their babysitter. I get to be an advocate for the employees, but I also have to protect the brand. So when I started helping employees understand that the policies and where they stand in relationship to that, sometimes even reading the handbook and saying, I'm only allowed 8 missed days in a year. I'm at 7. What does that mean? That means I have this many months to get back on track, or I have one more, missed day and my employment's ended. So when I put the onus back on them and I got out of the babysitting role, I was much more satisfied, and they were able to have, more ownership of their relationship with the company. And in the end, I got Christmas cards and thanks for people who maybe didn't stay at our company, but learned a lesson and had a better experience at their next organization. So when I look at it as that was my influence, right? Leadership today is going to be our theme. So these are the 5 stories we have ready. Why do tell our stories? We have to toot our own horn. We have to have positive self-talk. If we don't tell our story, somebody else will. If you don't have a job that you're promoting yourself, it can be your, tell your story, leave your legacy, tell it at the kitchen table so your kids remember stories about you. And that's how you will be remembered. So again, I tell people, especially in an interview, that's the main reason I do this, they have to take control. So if they go in armed with their story and they have 5, they're going to tell all 5 stories before they leave that interview. So even if they have to get to the end and they're like, is there anything we didn't discuss? Oh, let me tell you about one more time. I think, when we were talking about this, it reminded me and we never got back to it. So let me just share one more thing. So you're not leaving. Like, you have the most to gain or lose from these kind of interactions. So you have to be the one to take control. And at the end, normally we would brainstorm. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to brainstorm. It's going to be on leadership. I just want you to take a piece of paper. And so the first thing, like, if you got into an interview and they're like, Tracy, Deborah, Tracy, Karen, tell me about a time when you exhibited leadership. And then what I say is, well, just to be super clear, when I think of leadership, I use the John C. Maxwell definition: leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, because they are probably just reading off a checklist. So again, you're taking control of the situation when you tell your story. And so if you start with that, then it's kind of like, oh, but your story has to have a wow ending. So I'm going to give you a minute to brainstorm. Just think of all the times in the past 3 years that you have had a chance to influence. It can be influence a person, an event, an organization, money, a project at work, a client, anything that, and you want it to be the successful story, right? Not the one that, we don't want to share. We want to share the wow story. So just, I'm going to give you 30 seconds from right now. Just start jotting down ideas. They don't have to be perfect. 1 word, 2 word ideas of things you've shown leadership. Okay, I know 30 seconds goes by fast, but we gotta play along today. So highlight. So again, if we were doing this in a normal setting, we do another one for teamwork, another one for conflict, another one for strength, and another one for weaknesses I've overcome. Obviously, all these are geared to put you in the best light. You're never going to say weakness that you're still working on. You're going to focus on a weakness that, time management was a problem for me. And so I used Franklin Planner, whatever tool you got in place. Now I am the most efficient of my team, and I teach this class to other people. Like, you always want to have that wow factor, right? So now we're going to take one of those words you highlighted. We're going to develop it into a story. So this is going to be like, again, a fast, quick version, but I wanted you to walk away with something. So this is that story I just told you about, the guy putting the door through my wall. So we're going to think of this as the Taylor Swift version of your story, right? We don't have 5 minutes to tell our story. We have 2 to 3 minutes. So Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, think of country artists who tell like a whole story in less than 3 minutes. So that's the version we're going to go with. And you're going to have the setup. It's short and sweet. Yep, Deborah. Okay, and then what was needed? Why were you involved? What was your contribution? And then the wow factor is, that's what you want them to remember. So just we're going to do another minute here. Just say in this story, like pick one of your brainstorming ideas, just one, and just say, what was the setup? What would be a good lead in, 2 or 3 sentences, and just, you're just skeleton outlining this right now. And then after you get that, we'll come back. So you got 30 seconds to come up with the setup. Okay, now we're going to move to you. This is your uniqueness. Why you? Why at this story did there make a pivot? There was a change in the path of, there was a setup, and now you came in and made an impact. Now write your impact. It can be an I statement, it can be a we statement, but somehow you're going to highlight, I'm special because I made this happen. Toot your horn. You got 30 seconds. Okay, you might not have full sentences, but now you got to write the wow factor. What is the why did you remember it? Have other people complimented it and brought the story back up? What was their take on it? What was the wow factor that you can wrap it up? And now when you leave telling that story, they're going to be like, oh, Tiffany, that was a great story. I'm going to, and they're going to remember that. And next time they see you, they're going to be like, oh, doorknob lady, right? Like they're going to have like that impression. So 30 seconds to write your wow factor. Okay, we're gonna go to the next phase, which is you probably don't have a full story, right? Like it was really fast and we didn't have time to get through it all. But this is really the starting point, because now you got to go practice on people. Like you're going to evolve, the story's going to evolve, right? You're not going to have a one shot and done, but now try telling the story, pick 5 people. It doesn't have to be call them up and go, hey, I need to test the story on you, but you're having a conversation with family, friends, and go, you know what? I've been working on a way to share my leadership skills. Do you mind if I share this quick story? And then they're going to help you by asking questions to narrow that down and make it a powerful 2 to 3 minute story, right? Then when you're have the ability to do your elevator speech or introduce yourself to people, now you have a more natural story than this is what I do. Now you're able to share this is who I am, right? This is the why of why I do what I do. So if I'm a leadership trainer, if I'm training people in leadership, why is that important to me? Here's a story of how I've influenced. Don't you want to be more like me? Let me help you be more like me, right? So whatever, whether it's marketing or, I know we have a couple of coaches here. If you can incorporate a story into your introduction, you may find that people have more of that trust and everything that we talked about for Tracy, a little bit sooner, because they know you now versus just your what I do, why I do, what I do, how I do it. So this is more your why.
Cool.
So I think I have 1 minute left for questions.
Yes, you do. Perfect. Questions, anyone? Everyone?
I don't have a question, but a comment, but I think this is beautiful. You've broken it down to make it simple to me and actionable, like the checklist of to me, it's a great formula, and people do need stories. That's how we sell ourselves our stories.
Can you use this in other ways other than leadership? Because I don't think of myself, oh, I'm a leader. So, but maybe I could use it in a different way.
Right. So the 5 I picked, the 5 topics I mentioned, the leadership, conflict, teamwork, because I usually do this for people preparing for an interview, if you can come up with those 5 answers, you can ace any interview. All behavioral interviewing basically touches on those 5 things. But yes,
What was it again? Leadership, conflict, teamwork, and what else?
Weakness that you've overcome.
And strengths.
Yeah, a strength that you've capitalized on.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Deborah's got the HR background as well as Tracy Flay, and I can see them nodding. So I'm thinking that they get it. And again, some of us are entrepreneurs. We're trying to sell ourselves to clients or to, other people, or even if we want to speak to a group. Jenny, how has you? And I could give you. In fact, here's one of the things I suggest for us is to do it with other people that see. Let's do this at our YCB group, because we see in others their strengths easier than we see our own.
Yeah. And you're all leaders, whether you have that in your title, you're still leading your organization, you're leading your life, right? So there's a way to own your leadership that I think no matter if you're an accountant working by yourself, you're still leading that business. You're leading your clients to make the right decisions based on that information you're providing. So I want to encourage everyone to find that way that they're actually making a difference in the world. That's how you lead.
Jenny, I don't know, I don't see your photo right now, but Jenny Grace, I immediately thought of a leadership example for me, and that with you is that you helped me, you being a leader, to get the spiritual joy of goals done. You helped lead me to getting that done. I don't know if she's there or not.
She's still here, but she is off camera and muted.
Okay. Oh, so,
Okay.
well, anyway, I'll tell her later. All right, where are we now? And
We are
Michelle,
at the, please take a moment to, well, first of all, we thank and appreciate Miss Michelle, and then we take a moment to stand up and stretch and come back in a couple minutes so that we can get started on our next speaker. I don't know how you want me to do that, but I've got a little short story to share. I'll keep it in the horse theme. So
your story,
okay.
and if we have time, Tracy,
I'll make it really, yeah, I'll make it really fast. So Margot has had a lifelong love of horses and the horse racing industry. Her passion to save these amazing animals began in 2007. She was inspired by one particular yearling colt she rescued, unnamed, and a grandson of Seattle Slew, who's a very famous Triple Crown winner, I think, whom after being rescued, grew up and eventually started training to race. Buck, as he became known, went on to become a racehorse. Buck's extraordinary story appeared not only in one Associated Press story, but two. Buck's story brought a lot of attention to the racing industry, the kill pen situation and slaughter industry, and the hope for redemption when given a second chance. Margot was inspired by Buck to help make a change in this industry and founded Equus Rescue and Therapy in Millstadt, Illinois. Margot has been with horses most of her life. She's a professional floral designer by trade and an avid horseman who has been riding since a child. She is a hobbyist in the horse world who is determined to help the racing industry shine by the support it gives to their professional athletes at the end of their careers. I love that. Lastly, Margot is a committed friend to her 2- and 4-legged family and hopes to always put the welfare of the horses first. So we got a chance to meet some of those beautiful beings in the barn for those of us that were here a little bit early. And Margot introduced them to us and they were so beautiful. It's hard to imagine that they would have been just put to sleep because they were done with their racing days, but she's amazing by taking them on. So I had a very pivotal experience with a horse. I was in a business leadership course out in Colorado. And one of the women in my course said, she invited a lot of us if we were interested, as she was getting her certification as a therapy, an equus therapist. She said, would you come to a demo? And so many of us went that evening. We walked from the hotel that we were staying to a nearby farm, and she'd made arrangements to bring her horse there named Scarlet. So we were just finishing the training from this week, and I was going to be staying on and doing a speaker thing that weekend. And I was the first one to go. She was going to demonstrate what coaching with a horse was about. And I said, what do you want me to talk about? And she says, well, just stand up and what is it that you're nervous about for this weekend? And I went, oh, well, because they're going to make me get on stage and I'm going to have to do a sales thing. And I don't like selling from stage. And I was nervous. And she said, okay, so let's play with that because I can feel that that's a tension for you, and let's see if the horse can help. So she said, so just practice. Just how would you end your, after speaking for a while, how would you end at the end of your speech? So I did my very best sales, what I thought sales thing. And at the end of it, what happened was she says, okay, now look around and see where Scarlett is. Scarlett is way over in the corner of her pen with her butt facing me. And I'm obviously not paying any attention. I did not get her attention at all. So I was like, really? So how do I impress this horse? So afterwards, after like 2 or 3 failed times, and everybody out in front, all my colleagues that have been in this training with me, they're all like standing up and going, that was great. That was great. Well, the horse was not impressed. So finally she said, okay, why don't you just stand in the center of the circle, the horse pen, and just feel into what is your value? And I'm like, what makes me valuable? So I'm sitting there going, well, I'm strategic and I'm a good speaker and I'm this, and I really have a lot of experience. And I'm talking out loud because she asked me to talk out loud. And I'm kind of under my breath doing all this, but I have a microphone hooked up. So and I'm going through my resume, basically. Finally, I ran out of things to say, and I just sat. I mean, my whole energy just kind of dropped back in and down, and I started crying, and I said, I'm valuable because I'm me. Scarlett walked over and put her head on my shoulder, and I got to nuzzle her. She wouldn't have anything to do with me until this point, because she finally felt what was true and real. She wasn't going to let me get by with some grandstanding or some beautiful words or some kind of practiced, polished, presentation. That was not her thing. She was into, I want to know who you are, and I want you to stand in who you are. And it was that after that experience that I named my business Authentic Leadership Academy, because I felt like this is where we need to be operating. Even though it's scary, and even though it shows people maybe who we are in a way that we're not always prepared to do, but it is the most important way to lead and live and love right now. So
that's one of the most amazing stories I have ever heard.
So that's my story.
That's great.
Can we
Thank
stop
you
sharing
so
so I can see everybody? I can't see everybody. I see the horse and
It was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
so
Obviously, it means a lot to you.
it still does, because I remember feeling, I am not my resume. I am not my job descriptions or my experience or how much money I make. That's not who I am, and that's not my value to the world. I am me, and
Yeah.
that's my value to the world.
Gosh, that goes so beautifully with what Michelle Perry was saying about.
I used
Yeah.
her format. I
See,
played
divine intervention. This was great how this all went today.
Can I give a really quick little story of a horse interaction?
Yes.
Do I have time? In the circle, in the meditative, quiet circle that we were all in, the horse that was, I don't remember her name like you, Deb, but she came to me and started nibbling on my hat. And I saved that hat because I was giggling so hard under my breath, but I didn't want to take the focus and away from the meditative, quiet, beautiful circle. And I offered feedback in the feedback circle later, which was, I didn't want to shine. I didn't want to stand out. My joy, I put a lid on it for others. And that was massive. So I try to shine my joy now. So
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it's amazing how they're so energetically attuned. They do not buy into BS or flash, or they don't care. But boy, when you are in your truth and speaking from that, they come right on over and they're like, now you're talking.
why was she or he picking me to giggle? I mean, I was just
Oh, but it's
hysterical.
because your joy, they can feel that energy. We talk in Joy of Goals, right? About how our energy goes up. And when we're in joy, that is like a true space. And how often do we play it down? I mean, I was always told to stop giggling, be serious. I don't want to do that anymore. So,
We do have Karen Will, I'm not Karen Will, Kit Maxwell. For those of you, she is not charging because where she lives, it changes anyway. But she does horse retreat stuff there, and she's so amazing. And I got to experience my own session with a horse. We used to have horses when my kids were little, but I was always afraid to take and ride them, or it was always Rick and the kids. And when I went to her place, it was just so neat to be there and be there for the horses, and the one that I chose and chose me. It was a really, really neat experience. So if anybody wants Kit's information, she's awesome. She's
And
over in Wildwood.
Margot is doing them as well with Pam.
With
She is
Pam.
doing those exact kinds of workshops.
Pam who?
The same gal that was working with Kit.
Okay, awesome. So we have two resources in the community. And
Yeah.
I would love to,
Pam is
I said
training
earlier, do a field trip for our Gateway members to go out to the farm. And maybe when she's doing one of her fundraisers, we could all go out there and support
That
her.
would be
And
wonderful.
I've already told her that that's what you'd suggested. And she's like, yes, please.
yeah,
Yes.
just have the fundraiser there. There we go.
Tracy, my daughter loves horses and has worked as a wrangler in training for many years at a camp. So I'd like to connect her somehow.
Yeah, with Margot.
Just do a text intro to me and then I'll do a text intro to Margot. How about that?
Okay, I think I have your number, but I may not.
I'll put it in the
Chat.
chat.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll
Oh, I
put it.
love it. So see, we're still helping to build Margot's, business right here.
I love it, love it.
So thank
love
you,
it.
everybody, for listening. And I was hoping I wouldn't. I knew I would probably cry.
Well, are you being authentic? That is supposed to happen, right?
After that has been the bane of my existence. As soon as I named my business that, I was like, oh man, now I really have to show up. So
I have found, and especially this year, when some of you know I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life, but sharing some of the heartache and the challenges and being real and getting feedback from the amazing community and amazing friends is healing.
and we
Glad
have
you
such a
found that.
good, and you let us love you that way,
Well, I feel blessed. All right, where are we now, Miss Deborah Leanne Morley?
Oh, am I supposed to get us back on track? Okay, so we're actually right
you the
on
MC?
time.
Are you the
Yep.
MC?
I am. And you know what's interesting is that we are like ahead of the game. Awesome. So testimonials and member shout outs. And that's kind of where we're at. And then the closing quote is Missy. And then we sing. Oh, it's the
Missy
board.
also- the board, yeah.
Hello, board. Yes. What a great group we have. Okay. And we did Margot.
So did anybody have anything that they want to share that we might not know about your journey with Gateway, or some of the members that you get to communicate with or be friends with? Or
I just wanted to share something real quick. You know, Diane's helping me with this logo for what I'm doing. And I remember having a conversation with Karen, and I wanted to tell her so bad what I was going to call it. And it was like, we said it at the same time. Like, I mean, like, she helped me with the networking for you. I mean, I think we were both thinking it, and that's what I wanted to call it. So I just really appreciate you. Everybody that gave me some feedback. I mean, seriously, this is what I needed. I need to surround myself with people that can help our businesses. And I want others to know, you know, what we offer here is so much more.
You know, to that point, we last year were starting this program where we wanted to do a contest. In fact, I know we owe some people, because we were not meeting face to face. We owe people some of the prizes. But inviting someone and coming back to the contest again so that more people get to know what Gateway's about, I would love us to start that again. And Tracy, you could help us with that, like tracking it too. But you know, we all know somebody. In fact, she's not on the call today, but one of the women that I had met through, well, no, actually we've known each other for 20-something years, but we reconnected because of Tapestry. Catherine Frazier, she had actually shared with me that she had been feeling depressed because she had her bed and breakfast in Augusta, Missouri, COVID, no people, and she was going to come to Joy of Goals. And I knew in my heart that God was going to help her, because she hadn't given Zoom a chance. All of us right now, we actually get to see full faces. We're not going around with masks, right? Like, we get to stay connected because of Zoom. And sure enough, she's on the Joy of Goals call, and she gets to connect with people like you. And then she's now coming to our meetings, and she told me she feels different now. She doesn't feel isolated. She doesn't feel like, she found another way to be in community. So I love that Gateway has done that Joy of Goals has done that. And if any of the rest of you, you know, I know Karen and I talked, that Karen has felt like, you know, we see each other. We see each other. I don't think we take each other for granted. I think we look for the best in everyone.
Karen,
Anybody?
can I just say something? I invited a lot of people, but I would appreciate it if we could get more than just a link the day before the meeting, because, you know, a lot of people need to put it in their calendar. And then, you know, if you could
we send it out before that, but I think we this time we didn't do an email. Most of the time we've been doing an
email is really better. And then if you could tell us, you know, what the program is, because, you know, a lot of times people want to know what is it? What is it all about? Is all they have.
We do have that. So we just got to do a better job of you seeing it, because we've went ahead, Missy and Heidi and I, we worked 6 months ahead.
I know you guys are busy. I know that. Yeah.
We just got to get better at getting, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
And Lady E, you were going to say
earlier, it would be better. So.
Well, we find two things. We mail it out too early and people forget. And when we do it closer to, we have usually more people show up, but we need to do both.
Nobody minds if you repeat. I belong to one group. She sends it out twice a week for 4 weeks before the event. And she always gets a really big crowd there. So I think it's just repetition is the key. To keep it in front of people's faces.
We will work on that, Diane, I promise.
Sorry.
No.
You know,
we're getting the resources to help us more.
Okay.
So Lady E, were you going to say something?
Yes, you wanted to, I just wanted to say, I've said this before, that I'm really grateful for CPW, because the connections and more connections that I'm gaining. And that was a prayer that I had, because I was in a bubble. I only had certain people that really, really knew me, and it was pretty much within the church world. And that was pretty much, that's all I knew, the people that, and I knew I needed more connections and to come out of this bubble that I was in, especially for where I'm going, what I was doing. And I just want to say, I'm going to say the connections that I have gotten, Jenny Grace, just from being in Write Your Book Right Now. Jenny Grace is the one that introduced me to Lethea Owens, who is now my coach. And I mean, that was everything. Michelle Petralia, Jenny Grace, myself, Michelle Petralia, Lassen Lobster. She's the one that introduced me to Karen. People sleep on Lassen, but Lassen is somebody super, super special. I just did a photo shoot with Liz Schneider. I met her through Joy of Goals. Both of us on the same weight loss. She's lost the same amount of weight that my goal is, 68 pounds. I'm at 43. Tiffany Hockelman, the other week, I flip out with tech stuff, little bitty things like a signature on my email, how to make it look a certain way. And I called Tiffany and I was like, how much do I owe you? Because I was like, I will pay for this because, so, I mean, to me, it is priceless to have connections and to be connected to people who, whether you have something I need or I have something you need. And so the importance of this is, I mean, I think it's just everything. Marty Casey, I mean, my God, I knew her name for years, but I never knew her, you know, until I came to Gateway to Connections. She knew who I was. And so we just did like this. So it's been a blessing to me. So I just want to say thank you all. And thank you, Karen, for having this. I'm sorry. This person is, okay. These people calling me about my little project I got going. So anyway, but thank you so much for the connection. I mean, I can't say enough about CPW.
So right there, you've probably filled my cup for the next year, because this is what it's all about to me, is you and Jenny making that connection, you and Michelle making that connection. The connections are God. Like, to me, this is us being with God when, and we're not judging them. We're not looking at somebody and going, well, I don't like this about her. That's something that is, like, to me, the worst thing as a woman we can do is look at another woman and say, I don't like this about her, or you don't know her. God made her. I have been judged and rejected by really close friends that why they don't like me. They've told me why I'm sorry. You know, I want to be around people who get me and love me. So this is a self-service project for me.
Oh, but don't be sorry. Don't say I'm sorry.
No.
You're not
Thank
sorry.
you, Anisa.
Unapologetic. Absolutely. Great.
Karen,
No apologies.
But
But you're-
Anisa, like Marty too, Karen, has said the same thing, that we fed her in a way that she hadn't been fed, that allowed her to grow and flourish and fly. And look what
That's
she's
why-
doing now.
That's why this publication is important to me. Right now, how many do we have on this call? We've got, you know, we had like 17 or 18, and part of that's our fault, like Diane said, because we're not getting it out enough. But more people need to know about how we can interact. In fact, one of the things I want to share right now is Lady E put out a post yesterday. She's helping homeless men, and they can take money that they can use to help them, but they also need things. Well, my husband, if you saw them, the guy is a guy that, like, he buys lots of stuff. Like he'll have 100 pairs of socks. I'm not exaggerating. 100 pair. He finds a pair he likes. He buys them all the same. Then he finds another one and he buys them all the same. So we have all these like new socks, underwear, t-shirts, stuff like that. It's just like, oh my gosh, I have a place to take all these extras. but you know, and then Velma, I don't know if I've ever shared this story on here, but Velma over the holidays was trying to help a mom get into a home in Jennings. And she posted, I don't have money right now. Gateway still, you know, I can make $200 a month, you know? So, but I shared it. And one of my friends reached, well, two of them, but one of them reached out and wanted to pay for a bed at, because she said that she needed bedding and beds but she ended up giving $300 to help this woman, and another friend helped with a utility deposit. That's what happens when we share this stuff, guys. And Facebook is this beautiful tool for us for community that and Zoom. Like, I'm so thankful. Anyway, so now it's Missy. I'm done with that stuff. Now Missy is going to talk about our board and anything else Missy wants to talk about. And thank you for being our sponsor, Missy. Oh, you're muted.
My pleasure. I just want to say, just like Aneezer, the connections I've made coming to CPW have been amazing. And I should thank Tracy, because I initially met Karen at eWomen, and just the way she's so connected through the community. When I got back kind of into the business world and needed to make connections, she was the first person I thought about. So if you're not a member, I encourage you to become one and join this amazing community. So, and to tap off of that, this is our phenomenal board that supports Karen and works with her to help bring all these amazing programs that we have. And they are each individually and collectively a wonderful group of women. I apologize for the phone ringing. Next, hold on. Next, we have our volunteer list here that help with the different programs that we have. I am happy to say I co-chair CPW with Heidi Maxwell. We have Nikki Lemley that chairs the Impact Awards, which has been postponed due to COVID, but we will be back doing that eventually. We have Jenny Grace and Shelly. I always say her name wrong. Karen, help me. Pordia. They are the co-chairs for Write Your Book Right Now. We have Michelle Perry and Sheva Pinkas, who take care of Joy of Goals, also with Karen's assistance. We want to welcome Mary Lee, who's not on with us, I don't believe today, but she is the new director of sponsorships and memberships. She is here to help Karen just take this amazing group, Gateway to Dreams and CPW, to the next level. And then we have our fabulous volunteers. We have Diane Carson, Becky Boomer Schlegel, Karen Jenkins, Tracy Mueller, and I'm sure we have forgotten others that are equally important. And we are redesigning our volunteer page so we accommodate all of the amazing women that help us regularly. Next is how you can donate and help support Gateway to Dreams. That is the website for you to go to through your donations. It helps to keep the lights on at the business lodge that we are not currently actively using regularly, but it helps to support Joy of Goals, Write Your Book Right Now. So we appreciate any and all help that you are able to contribute. And lastly, our closing quote for this month is, strength doesn't come from what you do, it comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't. Oh. And I think it is perfect with all that we have talked about today. So.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
The award, and since we're not doing the awards this year, the book, can we get information about what if I want to be in the book?
I'll call you.
Okay.
I'll call you today.
Hey, call me today. Okay.
All right. Before we go into the song, I was thinking this morning, the biggest way we can show love to the planet, the biggest way we can show love is being responsible. And that song, again, I can never stop loving what Pookie put together about us being responsible. So I just want to say before we sing the song, it's about loving our world and each other by taking responsibility. All right, Tiffany.
Take it
All
away.
right. So I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourself, just because if we all try to sing, Zoom will explode. We've already had enough Zoom problems today, but I want to see your mouths moving. So I will play the song, and you got the words here. And until next month, have a wonderful month.
Am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. Looking round the world, and what do I see? So many things in a state of need. Pain and suffering all around me. I won't stand by and just let this be, 'cause I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave better place. Everywhere, everyone wants to be free. Some look around and say, it's not me. How can they close their eyes and not see? It all comes down to me. Because I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I said I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I'm reliable, accountable, dependable, invincible. I'm capable, incredible, responsible. I'm reliable, accountable, dependable, invincible. I'm capable, incredible, responsible. 'Cause I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I say I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. I said I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible to leave the world a better place. To leave the world a better place. To leave the world a better place. Come on and leave the world a better place. Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. You're amazing.